Hector gets it.
Good afternoon, good afternoon, good afternoon. I want to welcome you to today's edition of Yes You with Friends. And today it's going to be a friend. Jana, it's so good to have you on tonight with me. How are you?
I'm well. How are you?
I am awesome. I am awesome. I am so well. Guess what? Tyrone is here. Hello, Tyrone. How are you?
Hello, how's it going?
It's awesome. It is absolutely awesome. And yourself?
Can't complain.
Come on here. Come on here. It's so good to have each of you. And to all of you that are here on tonight, I appreciate you for being in the Lion's Den with me. I'm going to go over and take a look. I see Sheila Miles. Good evening to you and love to you on tonight. Nancy Jackson is in the Lion's Den. Cassandra Isaiah was here, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. She was ready to go. So good afternoon to you, Cassandra. So glad that you're here. Mel Holiday is in the room. Daniel Andre Dean, who gave us such good input on last week. Danny is in the room. That's my guy, y'all. I just love, that's my preacher. That's what I call him. That's my preacher. I'm so glad that you are in the room. And to everybody else, I'm trying to see SK8843. Nancy Jackson is here to play. I already know she's here to clown. Mino 3782. Thank you to each of you that are in the room on tonight. And I want to welcome you to tonight's edition of Yes You with my friends. I can now make it plural, with my friends, Tyrone and Jonna. And that being said, Jonna, I'm going to ask you, how was your week? Give us an update, and then Tyrone, your update, and let's see what's been going on, as I say on my morning show. What's crack-a-lacking out here in these streets?
Oh, not crack-a-lacking.
Crack-a-lacking.
This week for me was good. We had took a lot of time off of work this week. We had a staycation with the girls, and we did a lot of celebrating our anniversary. So it was very chill, very good, very relaxed. So it was much needed.
Also, and
Very
happy
calm.
anniversary, 20 years, 20 years, 20 years, y'all. If I was in my other studio, I could give you all my accolades and all that good stuff, put the happy anniversary and all of that up there. But that's it. That's my personal
Thank you.
happy. And does it seem like 20 years?
It does. That was the fastest 20 years I've ever had.
Oh,
Isn't that beautiful? Do you feel a tear? Tyrone, somebody get Tyrone. He needs a tissue.
What?
Tyrone needs a tissue. He done teared up, y'all.
20 years.
20 years. And you know what? Now this is gonna date how long we've known each other, because when I met you and Dwayne, you were just months into the wedding.
That's correct. We have been married about 6 months when we stumbled upon the great STL.
And you guys were actually Yolanda Willingham and yourself and Dwayne, all of you guys worked out at that company.
ADS.
Yes.
Mhm.
And you guys were doing a Christmas caroling adventure. You remember all this?
Yes, I do.
I remember sitting there, and the group was caroling, preparing to carol, and the Saints were a little challenged. And they were just a little challenged vocally and as far as the parts. And I remember after it was over, I asked Yolanda, I said, who is the girl sitting on the chair? Because she can sing.
Well, I had to help the people out from my seat.
Yes. I was like, now she can sing. Now I'm trying to refresh me. Did you end up joining the carolers? I can't remember.
Well, not that year, but the next year after we got that good soundtrack from you, I wonder, does Yolanda still have that? Remember it?
Oh my
It was a soundtrack, honey. It was great too. No, it was fantastic.
That soundtrack was horrible. Oh my God. I hope if she has it, it needs to go straight to the gates of hell from whence it came.
It was great. But the next year, it was just the three of us, Dwayne, myself, and Yolanda. And that's when it really, well, I'll leave it at that.
Y'all were making bank
That's
out
when
there.
The parts were together. Yes.
Y'all were making bank out there. Tyrone, the whoever it was that hired them was paying them good money on this. Yeah. Now, they sounded good, but if you could have only heard this track, it sounded...
No, the track was fantastic. It was jazzy. It had choral music. It was everything. It had a little blues bump on it. It was wonderful.
What was the blues? Santa Claus is coming to town. Is that
yes?
Sad. Look, we took it to church. We took it all the way to
Yes,
church.
you did.
And the people,
And the people loved
the
it.
people in the mall were loving it. You guys sang out at Oak Park Mall, I think it was, wasn't
Yes,
it? Oh,
it
that is so
was,
funny. Has that been
It was
20
just
years?
love.
That seems like
It has
yesterday. Oh my
It
God.
does.
That
It
seems like yesterday. But congratulations on 20 years.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
How long have you and Dwayne known each other?
I met Dwayne in August of, I don't know, I was 15 years old. It was in the
Oh,
10th grade. And I walked into a math class and he was sitting there and I knew then.
2
That
plus
was
2
that
equaled
was it.
2 plus 2 equaled 4.
That's correct. Now, did I listen? No. But it was a few years later before everything kicked off. But
Oh,
yes, we met sophomore year in high school.
But you did have some inkling down in your shondo, though.
I did.
Oh.
But my shondo was 15, so I was like, what? But apparently
It was on point.
it was on point.
That being interpreted, even the kids have a shondo. Even the kids have a shondo. We just got to teach them how to pay attention to it.
Absolutely.
So if your daughter, who's not too far off from 15, came to you and said, Mama, in my shondo, I got a feeling.
I got a feeling.
I got a feeling.
I would first ask her exactly where she felt like her shondo was. Let's get that clear first. 'Cause
And not some body parts.
correct. Let's be clear on the shondo. And then I would say, okay, stay the course. If it is, then it is. It will be when you get finished doing what you need to do.
Oh,
first.
okay. I feel you. Come on here. And you just got a few more years before she hits that 15 mark.
That is correct.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. Well, you heard it here on Yes You With Friends. If you think it's your shondo, especially in relationship, you pay attention to which shondo that is talking to you.
Wait. Let me tell y'all this quick little story. When we were in virtual school, Nia, that's the little one, she was 7. So they had to write books. She wrote like 1 trillion books.
Uh-huh.
And in one of these particular courses, the teacher, they were reading some authors, and the teacher was like, Nia, you read this little piece of poem. What do you feel like it means? And so Nia says, I feel like the poem meant this, this, and this. And the teacher says, so Nia, why do you feel that way? And she looked straight at her on the camera and said, I felt it in my shondo. And the teacher was like, you're what? And Nia was like, my shondo. Baby, I almost locked her out. I was like, you know what?
Oh, what is shondo?
Today.
And how old is Nia?
Nia is 7. Yeah, she's.
So
And
Nia's
she was looking around like, what? My shondo. I didn't have the heart to tell her shondo is not technically a term, but if you like it, you go ahead and say your shondo, baby. It's all good.
She knows what her shondo is, whether or not that she's trying to
Right.
educate the teacher. I just want you to know she's trying to teach the teacher what your shondo is. I love it. I love it. That is hilarious. Oh
Good
my
stuff.
God. She felt it in her shondo. That's what okay. So we know that they're listening to the podcast and paying attention.
Absolutely. And paying attention. I think they're not listening, but they are.
Barbara Hardy, thank you so much for liking the stream, Barbara. Thank you so much, and welcome to the Lion's Den. That is hilarious. Okay, so what have you felt down in your shondo, Tyrone?
Not a lot.
Nah.
I mean, things here. It's Texas, so we see the increase in cases. I think we've had like an increase in cases, like 3,000 cases,
Oh
like
man.
last week. And it becomes really scary when it comes close to home.
Yeah.
One of my mentors visited a family last week, and that family was positive for COVID. So we get there's this scare of, how it spreads, and it really comes, full circle and home. I hear some states that, they're rethinking their mask mandates. That's
Yes.
not happening here in Texas. Our, Republican people feel that Texans can make the best decisions, and it's not looking that way. So, we're dealing with that. Like I said, cases are back up. Kids are gearing up to go back to school. We know the younger kids, aren't in a position to be vaccinated. And we see now that even people who are vaccinated, I know people who are vaccinated who are testing positive for COVID. It's almost like we're going like backwards.
Wow.
Almost. So, that's the state we're in here in Texas now, and all over the country. But it's a little scary.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what we're dealing with here. Just trying to stay safe. Like I said, it seems like every day you hear of multiple people who've, I've tested positive for COVID. I'm vaccinated. Not discouraging anyone from being vaccinated, but we still have to, make sure that we're wearing our masks and being, mindful of the groups. People going to concerts now. No one wear a mask here. I go to court all the time, and I'm probably one of the only people you see with a mask on. I hear a lot of people, they just so happen to be Republicans who talk about COVID's not real.
Yeah.
And all that foolishness, but they're seeing their peers, their coworkers deal with it. So, but yeah, that's what's going on here. Just trying to stay clear as much as we can.
And so how does that impact your work scenario since you're dealing with the young people and that variable? And speaking of, so does the state, or are they vaccinated? How does that come about for those children that are in care? How do they get vaccinated?
So for the children in care, as far as I know, they aren't being vaccinated because I believe, that's still a choice of theirs and whoever their guardianship is. So can't say all the kids are being vaccinated. If it's like 12 and under, maybe 15. I'm not sure of the age, but they don't recommend being vaccinated at this moment. But when I think about our kids that are living in like the hotels and there's a constant change of people coming into their establishments. That it's a concern.
Yeah.
And those kids are about to go back to school, and it's a concern. And like I said, when we don't have the support of our leaders that we voted in office, well, some of us voted in office. People go off of what they see, and when leadership says, "I'm not gonna, push these mandates," and people who push these mandates will be fined, and I feel Texans can make the best decisions for them. Texans haven't made the best decisions for them because we're seeing an increase in cases.
Okay. and that crossed my mind with regard to so much what we talked about on last week, and Tyrone gave us a beautiful last week. The question and it was about, as we come post COVID, or as we come, into this new world, and really even my sermon for the 2:00, what I spoke about is really addressing the fact that the earth is correcting itself. All of these things that are out of sync, the earth is correcting itself. And so we see the transitions and the changes that are coming to pass. So our question last week to the panel was, what coming out of post-COVID are you an absolute positively fanatical advocate of as we come into the post, and when we round the corner? She'll be coming around the mountain when she comes. How do we want to come around that mountain? Tyrone brought mountain when she comes. How do we want to come around that mountain? Tyrone brought us to the point of understanding that for our children that are in care, the village has a tremendous need to step up to the plate. The village really needs to take to heart what we're doing with our children, to care for them. Words kept coming up like abandonment, the sense of feeling and being abandoned by the village. where they're just out there and no one will address stepping up to the plate to take these babies. We left out last week with Daniel Andre Dean. I'm so glad you're back here today, Daniel. He gave us 3 words. He said, listen, connect, and love. Listen, connect, and love, which was just powerful. It was just a powerful takeaway. And then his pet peeve was stay out of other folks' business. Mind your business.
Mind your business.
Mind your business. When you think back again, that conversation was so needed, Tyrone. And again, for whatever reason, I just didn't think that was the passion that you were going to bring to the table, but I'm so glad you did, because I think you uncovered. Yeah, I think you brought light. You shed, as I say in my show, I don't just throw shade, I shed light. You didn't just throw shade last week, you shed some light, and I appreciate that. And we're still there. So yeah, the kids. Now, Jonna, what do you think about the kids being able within the system, say in a scenario like Texas, how are kids going to make decisions for themselves, and especially when the adults are ignorant?
I don't know. Can they even make a decision for themselves? That's a tough situation because it's not constant. Mm-hmm. I mean, even in the actual care, like Tyrone said earlier, the people are constantly changing, and their expectations and who's here today, and that's going to change. I don't know that they can.
Yes,
make a decision for themselves and stick with it. And have somebody to help them. Bring that to pass. I don't know that they can.
Wow. That's it. So, I mean, when you talk about COVID, the kids definitely came to my mind, and how will they be taken care of? That's pretty dicey to me. That's really dicey.
Yeah.
Nancy Jackson, thank you for liking the stream, sis. Thank you for liking the stream. I appreciate you. Mel says they're going to be forgotten about. How do you all feel about? I mean, our children, and I even had this with my mom before she passed away, where they were shifting her from pillar to post, and she was not vaccinated, and then she was falling through the cracks because they were like, the senior care facility where she was in the hospital. They'd already been vaccinated, so she couldn't be vaccinated there. The hospital said they don't vaccinate them there. Then when she went to the rehab facility, they didn't vaccinate there because she'd missed that window. So I'm like, you got a whole series of children and seniors that potentially are not being vaccinated, and they're falling through the cracks. And it's like, my takeaway is like the society is almost saying like, we don't care, just die. And I don't know. What do y'all feel about that?
Well, my biggest concern is the communication piece for it. A lot of us, we look for information when we make decisions. Even, Jonna talked about the time when her daughter was against it, and, they worked with her to say, hey, let us know why you don't want this. And eventually y'all got to a point where a decision was made. But like, these kids aren't sitting down watching the news. Mm-hmm. So, for me, it's the communication piece. For the most part, they're watching, they're playing their video games, they're informed of what's going on in the world. Mm-hmm. So that really concerns me. It's just the information piece, that they really don't know the impact of it. Mm-hmm. They don't know what's going on. They don't know, just my assumption, I don't know all of the kids, but I'm just saying they may not know, that there's a need for them to be vaccinated, mm-hmm. And all that type of stuff. So for me, I'm concerned about the information piece for the kids, because, we're just making sure they're good. We're mm-hmm. just making sure they're safe. Mm-hmm. But, that whole information piece of being able to, have an understanding of what's going on, and people, and being in a position where people are giving them an opportunity to have that dialogue about, their feelings of it and all that good stuff. Yeah.
Jonna?
Well, I have a question for Tyrone. Is the state vaccinating kids above 12 or that are in care? Are they
in care? I'm not aware of.
Wow.
I believe statewide, kids 12 and above can be vaccinated for school. So I'm assuming. I don't know all the ins and outs. But I'm assuming the kids who will be going to school. But is the vaccination mandatory for kids?
Not yet.
Not yet.
So that part I don't know.
Okay.
But I haven't heard where it's something where we're taking the kids to their, doctor's appointments to get vaccinated.
Wow. Well, I'm a digress just a little bit, and I want to stop and say good evening to some folks that are coming in the room. Doglex is in the house. Good to see you. Good to see you. God bless you. That's my girl. Real Tax Talk. You guys follow him. He's out there in these Twitch streets. He is a streamer, and he talks about your taxes and things that you need to know to file the best way that you can. So listen.
Will he file them for us?
Real Tax Talk. Will you file taxes? And we'll let him put it down there in the chat. Hey, Shanna Cunningham. Thank you for liking the stream, Shanna. Thank you so much. I appreciate you, sis. Thank you. Listen, guess who's in the room? Over my head, I hear thunder in the air. There must be Shelly Thunder somewhere. Let me get it one more time. Shelly Thunder is in the room. Thank you for coming in the room. That's my girl, Shelly Thunder, who is a phenomenal moderator, by the way, and I just give her all kinds of mad love and appreciation. I saw One Reason in the room. Thank you for coming in the room, One Reason. Appreciate you. Those that are in those Twitch streets, please follow One Reason. He has a gospel morning takeover. You do not want to miss it. Get up every morning, get your gospel on. He comes on bright and early. Matter of fact, before the sun really comes up here, I got to catch him at Doc 30. So please check out One Reason. Yes, we got to get him at Doc 30 here to get him. So please. Aurora's Eatery, I want to give a shout out, and then we're going to move on. I want to say thank you for coming in the Lion's Den. I appreciate you. And I'm trying to make sure, because we always like to give appreciation to everybody that's in the room. Thank you so much for taking the time to come on in here. Oh, Mino, 37. No, I think I got Mino on the first go round, but I'm glad you're here. Everybody. LaWanda Baskerville. I just saw her. She's in the room. Aurora's Eatery said, you know it. I love you, sis. I love you. Thank you so much for coming in the Lion's Den. Now, I'm going to come here because Jonna still has to get an opportunity to give us what she's an advocate for in this post scenario. But before we take that turn, since Tyrone started us off with the whole idea, yes, I see you ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. I'm telling y'all. Y'all got me going on. Could it be that old slimy devil? Ain't nothing but that old slimy devil. Now, I want to come here just real quick, fast and in a hurry, just to kind of get our juices loosened and flowing before we get going. Now, I'm going to take you back to 2020. Didn't I tell y'all no meds, no beds? Didn't I say that at the very beginning? I'm just trying. I told y'all. Did I not?
You did.
And did y'all not read me for filth about no meds, no bed? Now in 2021, I just want to know. No beds, no meds, no beds. Oh, come on, y'all. Now, come on. We're a year into this scenario. We got jokers out here still running around. Did I not prophesy? That's all I want to know. Did I not prophesy and tell y'all it's going to get to the point that these jokers are going to keep this mess up? These jokers are going to keep this going on and on and on until
you said all of it. You did. I can't even front. You said it.
Listen, and somebody that read me and was like, Pastor, what kind of pastor are you?
From the church.
From the church. And I looked on their Facebook page and it said no meds. No beds, in essence. I looked at that and within myself, I chuckled because I told y'all that last year, but y'all didn't want to hear me. Y'all didn't want to hear it. Now I'm going to give y'all opportunity. Jump on that for a second before we let Jonna give us her advocacy and her pet peeves. But now, 1 year into it, and I'm Tyrone. I'm looking you dead in your eyes because you were pastor. You were pastor. Oh my!
Church.
Not from the church, the woman of the cloth, not the oracle of the Lord. Talking about no man's. Now, I want you to speak on that. Would you please speak on that for me today?
Well, I still feel.
I heard a stutter.
I still feel people still have their rights to make decisions that are best for them and whatever their decisions are. And if a person falls ill to a situation, we should still be supportive in that situation. People still have rights. We may not agree with them, but they still have rights to say, I wish not to get vaccinated. I wish not to wear a mask. Do we think it's stupid? Well, let me take stupid back. Do we think it's not the best option? Yes. But, we're people of one. We want to make sure everyone's good.
One reason said, say it with your chest. Come on now. I'm just saying, Jonna, are you y'all still reading me for filth on that one? Y'all still reading me for filth?
Listen, I have been converted. I'm sick of it. No meds. Take your wheezing ASS somewhere else because I'm tired of it. I'm ready to get back to normal. And because of people who will not get vaccinated, here we go again. I'm tired of it. No meds, no beds. I try to stay in there with the stupid, because that's what it is. At this point, come on now. I tried to stay in there with y'all, and it's your choice. You got to do it. Blah, blah, blah. You need to get a shot, okay? I'm sick of it.
We only say that until it impacts us. So if we have a family member who decided not to get vaccinated or decided not to wear a mask, and they're out there wheezing, we gonna want that family member taken care of.
I've had family
say that
members
until
who
it
have
impacts
refused, and that they have been down. I've had, I think, 3 the past 2 weeks. I gotta see what it's gonna do. Well, now you know. Take your.
You can say it, Jonna. You can say it.
Get a shot.
Now, listen.
Jeez Louise.
Real Tax Talk said, no vax, no lax. At the end of the day, the answer is, the whining said it several years ago. The answer is no. Did you get the understanding that the answer is no? So, I mean, at the end of the day, and I know somebody right now that's fighting for their life, and that's very unfortunate. It's very unfortunate. And so, it is what it is. I feel all kinds of ways, but I'm still, and prayers are going out, and y'all know I'm just really talking. Wear your mask. I hear you. Wear your mask. Social distance. Y'all out here acting like there's no virus out here, and Delta is loose. Delta is loose. So, at the end of the day, I still have to come back to some place where I say, as the surge is on the rise again, Tyrone, how many times are we going to do this and allow this to just go on? Because now, because I'm just saying, EB Loves Poetry. Welcome to the Lion's Den, sis. Thank you for coming in. And facts. At the end of the day, we just keep going around the mulberry bush. How long are we going to do this? And then when folks are, we got individuals that need those meds and those beds. Now, I'm just saying now. Okay.
But as a woman of the cloth.
And I am.
And you are.
And I am.
How would you minister to a person with that same, say someone comes to you and say, I have COVID,
Number one, you can't come to me with COVID. Tell me I got COVID. Call me on the phone, email me, text. You ain't coming to me talking about I got COVID.
A family member reached out and said, my family member has COVID. They struggling on a dime bed. They haven't been vaccinated. They didn't wear a mask. Would you look at them and say, well, they didn't pay?
I got that. I am with that situation right now, literally. You know, and you know, we gonna let them remain. We just not gonna put the information out there. But in the reality of it, I am praying. I'm fervently praying. And I don't have a problem with that phone call. Every time I get the call and the situation's more dire. And then I get the call and the situation's more dire. And I mean, I'm literally living that right now. Thank you for the biddies, Doglegs. I'm literally living that right now. And so, yes, I am praying. I really, really am fervently praying. But and at the end of the day, I'm praying that God intervene and do whatever God's going to do. Because I can't tell God, you know, even though I love this family, and I can't tell God, you know, I command you, y'all kill me with these prayers, commanding God. I command you in the name of Jesus, raise them up, and you know, all of that. Thank you for the biddies, Rebel. And I do believe in the power of prayer. However, I also understand choices. I also understand that decisions have consequences. And unfortunately, as much as I love and as much as my heart goes out, and it really, really, really does. But that's why, you know, that's why I come on here and cry loud, spare not, lift up my voice like a trumpet, because I'm saying, please get vaccinated. Please get vaccinated. Thank you for the biddies, Doglegs. Thank you so much. I'm saying, please get vaccinated. I'm saying, please take care of yourself. And I think you all can witness, ever since this started, right up to the present day, I have begged, pleaded, snotted, cried. Unfortunately, that's what people of the cloth do. And then people make decisions. Then y'all want us to come in for special prayer. Y'all want us to show up and get the disease. I'm not coming. I'm going to pray from where I am, and I'm going to pray for you. But at the end of the day, you know, I have to really underscore, why can't we just listen to good instruction? You understand? Why can't we just listen to good instruction? And yes, I want everybody to be well, but I also want people to understand your choices have consequences. And when you say directly, Shelly Thunder, thank you for the biddies. When you say directly and unequivocally, I refuse to get vaccinated, I respect that. I really, really do. But I'm not shocked when I get the phone call that you on the vent.
Right.
I mean, I don't know what else to say. That's a reality for me. I'm not just talking, you know, I act silly and all of that, but I mean, I'm dealing with that right now. I really, really am. And 2 family members, as a matter of fact, because y'all know once it goes through the house, it just starts snatching everybody.
Yeah, right about that.
So, thank you for the hype train. Thank you for the hype train. Appreciate that. It's a reality check, Reason. It's a reality check. And it's not a reality check that I'm happy about by any stretch of the imagination. Thank you for the biddies, Jonna CPW. I'm not thrilled by any stretch of the imagination, but I'm saying the reality of it is the reality. But then it's like, okay, when we start listening, and just like you said, there are those that are vaccinated that are having breakthrough. So thank you, Raw Music by Emmanuel. Thank you so much, and welcome to the Lion's Den. Now, so Tyrone, so to put that thing in perspective, when I was saying no meds, no beds, it wasn't just a blanket statement. It was really more so talking to the point of when push comes to shove and somebody that's done all that they can do to be well and to avoid COVID to the best of their ability, but they can't get a bed because a non-vaxxed person laying up in there done took up the space. That's really how I put that out there. So do you feel that if you being fully vaccinated and diligent in taking care of yourself and you got to the hospital, because you remember we got to one point, thank you so much, Cooking Mama, thank you so much for the biddies. If you got to that point where you got to the hospital door, because you remember they were getting to the point where they were trying to decide who could get a bed, who didn't, would your jaws not be tight if you got to that hospital door and the ward was full of non-vaxxed people? Thank you for the sub one reason. Oh my goodness. Thank you, sir. I appreciate you. Welcome to the Lion's Den. Would you not be feeling some kind of way if you got up to the door and they told you we got to turn you away because there's no bed and the ward is full of a bunch of unvaxxed people?
Of course. I would feel some kind of way.
And so,
but I also want us to live in a world where, you know, everyone's treated equal. And no, I'm just joking. No, I would be pissed.
I was getting ready to say, what?
They are treated equally. Walk your tail someplace and get a shot.
Correct. Bite the bullet like those of us who have, scared or not, and get your Fauci ouchie so we can get back to normal.
I'm just saying. Now, Jonna, we got a convert, y'all. We got a convert. Did you hear her say she was converted? Woo!
I'm tired of it. I'm tired of it.
Because when will it end? It's a never-ending scenario. You don't agree with that, Tyrone? For real?
I totally agree with that. No, I mean we've come so far, and to be pretty much, I feel like we're in a place where we're starting to backtrack, and it's not like the first time where, you know, this kind of pretty much like crept up on us. You know, the way that it spread through, you know, states and, you know, people were impacted and all that kind of stuff. This isn't, it isn't new at this point. So if people are making those poor decisions, and of course there's always that one that say, but I'm vaccinated and people vaccinated still get it. Do what you're supposed to do. Yeah. You know, do what you can to help, even whether it's saving your life or helping to prevent someone else being impacted. You know, people need to do what they need to do. And I mean, yeah. If there's a way to detect who has been vaccinated and who hasn't, and who's wearing a mask and who hasn't, I say put the app out, and those people, you made a decision that you say you got this.
Somebody said it's time for the unvaccinated to stay home and let the rest of us move about, and put them put the unvaccinated on lockdown. Yeah, and let the rest of us live. Hey, I mean, because nobody wanted. I did not want to take the shot. Right. Did you want to take the shot? No, of course not. But we have to do something. So, you know, here it is. And will we ever get to a post-COVID scenario, as long as your lips, hips, and fingertips keep wandering around without a vaccine? Right. And it doesn't make any sense. The reason why we don't have smallpox, why? Because of a vaccine. The reason why people are not walking around with polio, because of a vaccine. What are we doing here? And it still takes forever to get that stuff eradicated, but we have to start somewhere. Yes. Get your ass in for the shot. Come on. I'm tired of saying it. BT. I'm tired of it. Listen. At some point, BTD Mom, thank you for the biddies. Rebel Inc., thank you for the biddies. Rebel Inc., thank you for the gifted sub. And this hype train is moving on. I appreciate you all. Shelly Thunder, thank you for the biddies. Oh, guys, you guys are just so precious with the hype train. I appreciate you so much, and I appreciate your support. At some point, we got to move on. And that's how I feel about that. So let's look at this. Jonna, now, as we talk about post-COVID, Tyrone brought us this awesome idea that we definitely need to take care of our children post-COVID. We need to make that a priority. I agree 200%. And I think we came up with some good ideas of how to do that. And I hope that we'll actually put some of this in motion for real. Now, with you, because we didn't get to you last week, we did quite a bit of sharing and talking.
from your heart and your perspective, as we round post-COVID and as the earth and the universe is correcting itself, tell me what you're advocating for, what your passion is out there like this, y'all. This right here, we got to take it. Mino 3782, thank you for the sub and welcome to the Lion's Den. Come on and let us hear you roar. This pride, PRIDE of Lions, is relentless, and you're gonna hear us roar. Now, before I go there, Mel Holiday, if you get the Johnson & Johnson shot, you still cooking mama.
Mel, do you know this for fact, Mel?
That is not true. They couldn't get the powder right, but the shot.
They couldn't get the powder.
They got the powder right. People was putting the powder in the wrong places.
Listen,
that's true too. Yeah.
Nobody but Mel. Nobody but Mel. Oh my goodness. Cooking Mama, thank you. And welcome to the Lion's Den family. We're so glad to have you. Now, come on and tell me, Jonna, what is your advocacy for?
Well, and I'm not sure this is necessarily post-COVID, but I do feel like as the world, like you said earlier, corrects itself.
Yes.
I see my sisters, my sisterin, especially my Black sisters, are now advocating for their own mental health, and I could not be any more pumped.
Yes.
They are saying enough already.
Mm-hmm.
I am not a workhorse.
Mm-hmm.
I do need to rest. And today, I'm done.
Come on.
And I'm telling you, I clap every time.
Come on.
Every single time.
Can I ask a question?
Wait a minute. Before you ask your question, let me applaud. Yay! Because I got a feeling when I saw those eyes cut to the side. LaWanda Baskerville, welcome to the Lion's Den, and thank you for the sub, sister. Thank you for the sub. Now, y'all get ready, because I see something down in Tyrone Shondo that ain't right. So, am I picking up something? Okay.
Not at all.
Let me warn you, though. I got a cussing spirit tonight.
Cuss, girl.
Go ahead.
Release it.
And I appreciate that.
Uh-huh.
And I totally agree.
Okay.
I just want to know, can you define sistering?
Sistering, my fellow Black females.
And white females.
And white. But especially all women. Let me be clear. All women.
So are we going to loop men into there as well?
Eventually, but right now I'm talking about women.
And as
she said,
Okay.
What is near and dear to my heart.
Right. Gotcha.
Now, I really want to backtrack. I really want to backtrack.
Married to a man 20 years.
20 years, love him to death, and I'm an advocate for his mental health.
But
mine.
I do want to come in here and in that white women will still have a lot more access and potential to therapy and counseling than Black women. So I feel you when you are specifying your Black sisters, and I just threw that in, really somewhat being facetious. Yes, we want everybody, but your point is speaking specifically to Black women, and we have a diverse.
Because I am a Black woman, so I can
yes, and our group, our listening audience is diverse. It's not all Black. It's a good combination, and that's a beautiful thing. But this is where I do want to say our white brothers and sisters don't have to be intimidated when we talk about things for Black people, because we're addressing from our vantage point and the reality that we are in the deficit and in the red, and we're pulling up. So anytime you got to come out of the red to get back to get out of the red, you got to have extra pump there. So even and Tyrone, I know even with you always often want to make sure that notice I backed off of always and went to often. But you often want to make sure that we get the same for our male counterparts. But to speak to that again, whether it's men or whether it is a white majority, I think there has to be that constant understanding that we're speaking to the group that is at most deficit. Can you embrace that?
I'm embracing that Black men aren't a part of that most deficit group.
To the extent of Black women, I would say, just going in a reflection of the sermon that I preached today, and that is that Black women tend to be at the bottom of the totem pole in all rankings. Do you agree with that?
I can agree with that. Yeah.
Okay. So then when we're talking about coming and getting at least to the level of and then moving beyond, then when I talk to a Black sister and I say, I want you to pay attention to your mental health, I want to applaud you for stopping and saying, I'm going to pay attention to my mental health. We can do that from that space of understanding. I'm talking about and talking to the greatest deficit out of everybody on this totem pole. Okay. And your hesitation is just processing.
Again, it's your experience. So I would expect, the conversation would be for Black women because that's your experience. For me, yes, I agree. Black women are at the bottom of the totem pole. But my thing is, if we're going to acknowledge, the brothers out there as well, still struggling. So I'm going to represent the brothers, not taking away from the women. We love you. And I know there's a struggle for Black women. Women across the board, but seriously Black women. But I'm just saying, I'm going to throw out those nuggets that Black men, we're not sandcastles. We struggle with things too. So just want to throw that out there.
Well, and I hear you. Please know, I never said that you did it. There is a huge place in my heart for Black, first of all, people. But I am a woman, so I can kind of relate a little more to the struggle. But the men, listen, you're being hunted in the street. You often don't have a place to lay your head without the drama, if you will. So that's not pull that head knot in just a bit.
No, I'm agreeing with you.
You ain't got to get off to the side with it.
No, and I only say this because I deal with this at work. I work in an industry where Black men, or men, and especially Black men, aren't known for. And I see like the assessments when it's always the Black man, the man, he did. So I'm an advocate for Black men. We've created a society where there's always an attack on a Black man, whether people want to acknowledge it or not. So when we talk about mental health, us brothers we got some issues as well.
I want to snatch out of here some things that One Reason made some two good points that I want to pull in here. And Tyrone, hold on to your weave, and I want you to talk. Black women are
this is natural.
Okay.
I'm just joking.
Black women are the most neglected and disrespected group. Do you agree with that statement?
Yes.
Then he followed that up with the brothers get more support from Black men. Black women support Black men more than the other way around. Do you agree with that?
That I don't agree with.
So you think Black men support Black women more than we support Black men?
I would have to say my experience. Don't hurt me don't come for me for my experience. But I would say it's like 50-50.
50-50.
But again, hold on. At the end of the day, we were talking about what Jonna was an advocate for. So that's what we need to. All I was saying was, as a Black male, I still want to make sure that we're represented. That's all.
One Reason said 70-30.
I thank you, One Reason. His experience. We appreciate you. Thank you for coming on. Hope to see you next week.
SK said black women support everybody.
Again, as an African American male, speaking from my experience, and I appreciate everyone who would comment. At the end of the day, whose experience? Mine. Thank you, though. I appreciate the information.
Okay, but is your information accurate? Which is the same thing I would ask Retrumplicans. Is your information accurate?
We could ask that to anyone, though.
But I think if you do a statistical,
everyone's gonna speak from their experience.
Statistically, I think that one reason 70-30 is not far off. As a matter of fact, it might be a little low.
I was gonna give it 90-10, but I'm gonna move it back just to say 80-20.
I mean, hey, that's what I expected.
Damon Blissett said, I support black women. Okay. And he does. I appreciate him for that space in place. However, Brother Damon and Brother Tyrone, I don't think that is the typical, that especially black women, but I don't think that the ratio is anywhere near being 50-50, Tyrone.
Okay. Again, I'm saying from my experience, and I appreciate the information, but my experience, you want me to say from my experience, I'm going to agree with what you said? My experience. And this is how I feel.
Okay.
I mean, I could say I feel that black women don't support black men. And you would say, oh, well, black women support everybody. Okay.
But there would be statistics that would support that.
From a black woman, you feel I support everybody.
No, that's not a black woman. We're talking about just straight up statistics, not black women. We're talking statistically. I think that it would be proven that black women support everybody and they support black men, but black men do not support black women at that same equal level, which to me, now this is probably why and I appreciate you for standing y'all ground. Listen, y'all get your weave, get your wig, hold on to it, because we gonna have a little discussion here. That's the same problem. Now I'm gonna come here. That's the same problem I have with white people saying all lives matter. We're not talking about all lives matter. We're talking about black lives matter, because black people are the lives that are at a deficit, even as we said.
I totally agree with that.
You agree with that? Okay, so then if you take that from black to white, then can you take that from gender to gender, that it's that same conversation? So when you ask a black woman to embrace, come on and put the black men in here because we're part of this narrative too, but we're looking at a situation where black women's houses are on fire, not the black men's houses are on fire. Black women's houses are on fire. If we use that same idea of the fire truck is coming to put out the fire, all houses don't need to be doused with water. We're putting water on the house that's on fire. And so what I'm saying here is that the way that you can understand and embrace why we don't say all lives matter when you're specifically talking about issues and how things break down and are stacked against black lives. We're not talking about all lives. We're talking about the houses that are on fire that need the extinguishing. That's black lives. So it's the same if we're talking about what needs to be put the fire out and let's extinguish it. We're talking about black women.
And not taking away from that. But as a black male who has acknowledged that black women are at the bottom of the totem pole, I also want to acknowledge that when we talk about mental health, black men have some things they need to struggle with. And on a platform that's all female run. So will we have a conversation if I didn't bring it up, where we were acknowledging that black men had some mental health issues as well? I don't believe so. So I'm just saying.
Wait. Okay, so now say that. No. I'm trying to track what you just said, because it's all female run. If you weren't here giving a male perspective, the freight train would just run away and we wouldn't address the black male's plight.
I'm saying from a female's perspective and experience, you're going to speak from that experience. I can say, yes, females are at the bottom of the totem pole, but that's not my experience as far as what it feels like for you. And I feel without a male, we probably wouldn't hit on some of the things of saying, but our Black brothers are struggling with this as well. So not taking away from Jonna's point, I was just throwing in, because she was talking about mental health for women. As a male, I want to say, and throw our brothers in there too, because our brothers are struggling as well. That's all.
Okay. I think we're all on that page. I think where the parties part is the idea that there's equal support for Black women from Black men, and that I think is where we're diverging in our agreement. Now, Jonna, this is your point. So
like I said, we're not taking away from Jonna's point.
No. Because
I just want to throw a little nugget out there for our brothers.
I bring up the mental health of the Black woman, and we can't even talk about it because we got to bring the brethren in. This ain't your night, brother.
You're right. It's not our night. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I said everything I had to say, and just like always.
This made my point.
Just like always.
I didn't want to take away
with the stuff, and so
this is your night. This is your point.
My point has been made.
I just wanted to drop a little nugget so we can remember the brothers out there.
Okay,
I feel like
just so you know. One reason is a brother. So you don't know some of these handles. You don't know the people. So one reason is a brother. Just so you know.
And again, you stated that early, and I appreciate it. I agree. I thanked him for his comment.
Okay, but now I'm getting ready to make his new comment because I don't know if you caught it. He said Black women tell Black men to get therapy all the time. They just don't go and get it.
Okay.
I've seen sisters beg brothers, please get some counseling, and the saints just won't go.
That's a bigger story to me, and we don't have time for that tonight. But you're right. Black women tell Black men all the time to go get counseling, and they don't do it. But to me, that's a bigger story. But we're going back. This was Jonna's moment where she was speaking on what she's an advocate for this year.
I don't have a moment. I'm just saying this.
Now, what you just said, I took your moment.
No, well, the point has been proven. We Black women, we've been neglected, and we're gonna be neglected again. I'm just, here we are.
I apologize as a man for speaking up.
No need to apologize. And the thing about it is, Tyrone, I agree. Black men have a plethora of things that need to be addressed. It is not easy existing as a Black man.
Y'all
today.
sure?
It never has been.
Oh, we're positive because you're our sons, you're our brothers. We see your struggle.
Now we are. Okay.
What do you mean now you are? Even as I said today, this is the thing about Black women is that umbilical, even whether it's cut in the natural or not, there is a connection that Black women have to their Black children pretty much all the time. Now there is that anomaly. There is that rare occasion where somebody proves something otherwise. But the typical is that mother is not going to be Papa was a Rolling Stone wherever he laid his hat was his home. You're not going to get that typically from females more times than not because they have that connection. So because we listen, we nursed you with these. So we're going to have a connection. We carried you here and we pushed you out of there. So that connection does not break. It's a connection that almost cost us our lives, but we do it anyway and love the babies forever, even when you become grown men. So I think that connection is what kind of makes a difference here. And sometimes you can have a level of where the brethren can't act as if that ain't mine. I don't know it's mine. And even if it is mine, I'm not concerned. So let's just, from that dynamic, do you agree with that basic concept?
In some situations, yeah.
I'm talking about majority.
I'm not going to say majority. I will say in some situations, yeah.
Okay. If there's a walk away, and I'm not saying the majority of brothers walk away, I'm saying I'm trying to get to the concept of you're going to see that manifest more so with males than females.
I will agree with that. Yes.
Okay, that's where I'm trying to come. Okay, so that's okay. We clarify till we get it correct. I have no problem with that. But at the end of the day, going back again to this idea of the disrespect and the devaluing that happens to Black females. I want to take, not because I'm trying to beat you down as the only male that's represented on this show, but from the standpoint, because I see, listen, everything in Jonna's body is saying, I'm so tired of this. Not of this conversation, but of this experience where women, particularly Black women, have to fight and scratch. And then even after we speak up and use our voice, somebody comes to try to muffle it and stifle it and push it down, even in the way of, but what about me as a male? What about me as a Black male? And I think that Black males have been given a boatload of attention from Black females. But Black females struggle yet to get that same level or anywhere close to that level of care from our Black males. Do you agree or disagree with that?
I agree.
Okay. And so it's like, I see you, Jonna. I'm reading your everything that's underneath there. I'm reading everything that you're not saying, and I hear you screaming at the top of your lungs and trying to hold it in and be calm. So, yes.
It's all good. The point is that I see my sisters standing up for themselves and not in a war against anybody else, but to just say, I'm here, and somebody needs to see that. We give out at a level that is unmatched now, and it's often we just don't receive it back. And there comes a point where it's going to get old, and it's gotten old. The sisters are tired of it. That's not saying that the Black man doesn't have our support. Of course, he always has. But sometimes you got to pull it in. And at this point, I feel like we're saying, I'm going to take care of myself a little bit.
Yes.
And that's all I'm saying.
Yes.
That's all I'm saying. And we got to do it. We have to do it. Black women, but especially Black women have been like almost treated less than human. You just go. You got to cheer for everybody. You got to show up to everything. You got to be on time. You got to do this, that, and the other. And when it's over, you just pull to yourself, heal your own little wounds, get up and do the same shit again the next day or whatever. And nobody says anything. Enough.
And so as we go back to the applause that we're giving to Naomi Osaka, to Biles, to all the other women that are waking up and speaking, I want to again applaud every Black woman. And as we come into this new season, as we come into this turn the corner time, I feel like this is something that I think all Black women, because listen, it's almost like, have you ever felt a scream that you wanted to scream but you couldn't scream? This has often been the plight of Black women, and we just keep going. We keep going. We don't stop. We keep going. And then you get more of that scream that you want to scream, but you can't let it out. And we keep going. We don't stop. And then we get all kinds of verbal abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, spiritual abuse. We just get abused some more, and we got more scream that we want to let out, and we keep going. And it's like, I think that the strength, it's undominable. It's just, it doesn't stop. But at the same time, Black women are saying, we've had enough. We will speak. We have a voice. We will not be ignored. We will not be pushed down. We will not be overlooked. We will not be treated as if we are less than human. And we're coming off the bottom of the pole, because at the end of the time, at the end of the whole scenario, even though we are that foundation, and some people may disagree with this. And I saw, so I saw you. You have somebody in your corner, Tyrone. There's a brother out here who said, we're just going to agree to disagree with that. Now, I didn't see everything that happened in conversation prior to that, but I think he's speaking to the idea of potentially embracing where you are, and it passed over for promotions. One reason, come on here. At the end of the day, it's at the point where Black sisters are saying I understand we're at the bottom, but if you recognize this, the whatever's at the bottom is what's creating your foundation. Mm-hmm. But if we're creating the foundation and then being pooped on, being overlooked for promotions, being told we can't speak, being told we don't have a place, and being told. At this point, it's like, okay, I recognize I'm the foundation, but you're not just going to continue to poop on me and think I'm going to stay here and let you just keep pooping on me. It's time for us to move to another place and another level of existence. And we've done our fair share and will continue. Black women are not going to stop, but at the same time, there has to be a level of respect. There must be a level of change in perspective about who we are and how we're treated as human beings, because we've had enough. And then it's almost like when we say we've had enough, somebody's like, get over there and be quiet. It's almost like the athletes, shut up and play the game. Shut up and play the game. Every time we say something, shut up and play the game. That's not your reality. That's not true. But it is. Not just by a few handfuls getting up and talking. Statistically, it is the truth. Go ahead, Jonna. And wait a minute, Brother Blissett said, Tyrone, you are not wrong from your perspective. So I want to, your brothers are coming in here. Your brothers are talking. So I appreciate y'all. So thank you, Brother Blissett, for your support. I think that do y'all not feel that there is a breakdown between the Black male and the Black female that at some point needs to be addressed?
It absolutely is. And we can't even talk. We can't even talk. I mean, there's not anything else to say right there. And I'm not going to say I don't know where it came from, but that is a huge issue that needs to be addressed immediately, because the world is changing and we don't want to be separated from our own brothers. And I am beginning to hear some Black men say, it's difficult being me. I need help. And the same enthusiasm, because it is difficult and they do need help. But, we do too.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
We do too. And we have to be able to listen and hear each other without silencing one party. I don't feel as though Black women have really had a chance to say, this hurts me, this bothers me. We don't have that opportunity because there's such a level of expectation. And if we don't meet it, then we just don't.
Brother Blissett, from an overall perspective, women are lacking support. SK 8843, break the patriarchal patterns from slavery. Now that's huge, and we really need to address that. And we see it everywhere, and then you propagate it from the pulpit of the church, and it just takes on a whole different life and a whole different reality. But that is very true, SK, that it's from slavery and it needs to be broken. It's like it's an automatic thing for us to just take it. Come on, Douglas, whatever it may be, in all caps, because that whatever encompasses everything. I mean, we take some real stuff. We take some real dog poop from everybody, and we just keep going. And that's a true word. Families got to run reason. They got to raise the family, go to work. We got to do all of that and still look immaculate, perform in every arena. And it just keeps going. They got to get it from the job. They get it from everywhere. I agree with you. One reason. I agree with you. One reason. And I think, this, and I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna let Jonna finish up. Tyrone, I don't want you to feel silenced. I don't want you to feel.
I'm not.
I don't want you to feel silence, because at some point I would love to have a trained mediator come in that's trained in both mediation and psychology to take. I'm so serious. And so I would love to have a trained mediator come in and have a panel of just women and men and try to talk through this dynamic, because there is this breakdown that and I'm gonna go back here. I believe that the institution of slavery and institutionalized racism has worked perfectly to drive this wedge and make it even greater than it would have been otherwise. And it needs to be talked out. It needs to be talked through. It really need for a part of our healing as a community. As a part of our healing as a community, because I mean, it leaves holes in both our hearts, both women and men. The men's hearts are wounded, the women's hearts are wounded. So at the end of the day, we need this place of healing. And as you said, Jonna, so as we go back to your point of advocacy, you're advocating for Black women to go get mental help, take care of their mental health.
Take care of your mental health. Know yourself. If you can't, it's okay. Whatever that can't is, it's okay. It's okay to take care of yourself. You cannot, I know we say it all the time and it's so cliche, you can't pour from an empty cup, but that's the honest to God truth. You have to fill yourself back up to be able to give it out.
Okay.
And we need to really, I hope and pray that we stay on that trend. And again, Black women is the focus, but that's Black people in general, everybody. And even not just Black people, everybody needs to, I think this time we've taken a good look at mental health, and I hope that continues. It trickles down to everything, and we need to be aware of that.
And I'm gonna tell you what my honest feeling is, and thank you guys, Shelly Thunder, no lies detected. Sheila says she got hairy legs and fuzzy edges.
Correct. It's rough out in these women's streets. It is tough.
Listen, I was listening to somebody's podcast, and they got to talking about women's hairy legs, and one of the brothers chimed in, I can't do no hairy legs. When is she gonna go shave them? Lord Jesus. I mean, now come on. It's like, okay, am I gonna sit up till 3:00 in the morning after I done this? Now I'm just saying. And at the end of the day, folks, I'm gonna find time to shave my legs and da. Yes, we find time to do this stuff, but I mean, when you hear these expectations, I read that comment and I looked at that brother and I raised all my eyebrows. I'm like, listen, while you eating the dinner that she cooked, you get that razor and get some lotion and take a bite and shave, take a bite and shave, and take a bite and shave her legs, because she done did about 5,000 things before she put that dinner on your table.
Correct. Or you could go ahead and cook and give her that hour and a half
to shave her legs.
To shave the legs. Not that it's gonna make a difference later, because it is not. But anyway.
It don't matter, Johnny. It don't matter, because at the end of the day, the hairy legs don't mean nothing.
Correct.
They can care less about the hairy legs. It's between the navel and the knee. That's what they want. It's between the navel and the knee.
I could go forth about them legs, but I'll save that for that show.
They like that tickling sensation of the hair. Okay, let me. Y'all ain't ready for me. At the end of the day, what do we expect? What do we expect the people to do? And listen, y'all missed when Rashida said you can't even lay your edges down. Get them press-on edges. Get those press-on edges. So at the, I'm looking and I what I do feel in all of my laughter though, I'm laughing. Shelly Thunder, I see you flatlined. At the end of the day, I feel sad that we feel this right here, but it's happening. Come on, y'all put that in the chat. It's happening. I feel some kind of way that when we start talking male to female, we have so much silence. There's not fluid communication. What does that say to us, Tyrone, from your perspective? When we have male to female topics and there's no fluid conversations between male to female in large, what does that feel like to you? And then Jonna, what does that feel like to you?
To me, it feels like there's a divide that needs to be pulled together because for me as a male, my experience, I can acknowledge the struggle of a Black woman, but then there's still that feeling of, but I need some acknowledgement as well. There's a lot of expectation of me. There's a lot of expectation of me. We can expect a whole lot. We expect a whole lot from our women, but I feel like a lot of times we neglect the expectation that's put on the male. My experience, my perception. Mm-hmm. So I feel there's that divide where we're not at a place of being able to have that conversation of saying we're struggling together. Because we can say, we need to do this for the woman. We need to do this for the woman, this, that, and the other. And then me being a male saying, hey, but what about me? So there's that, we need to get to a place where we're able to have that conversation where we can say we're struggling together and we're not at that place yet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay. Jonna, what does it feel like thank you. That's a good observation. Marvelous observation. What does it feel like when you see us have conversations like, and this is just one, dynamic showing and manifesting this as an issue. You see it everywhere. When you see these conversations pop up and it's crickets, or we have to resort to crickets. What do you feel about that?
If I were to just speak plainly,
please do.
There is a wound there, and I don't think that we can readily identify it. I don't think that we can look at it and say, this hurts and this is the exact reason why. I think there's generations of misinformation, generations of being raised by hurt people. Mm. And we've got a whole bunch of wounds because of that. And we simply do not trust each other. Mm. Mm. We do not trust each other. And like you said earlier, that is systematic and it has worked beautifully, and it works yet today. Mm-hmm. And that is unfortunate, but it is the truth. Mm-hmm. There are children being raised on both sides to not trust women and to not trust men. And it continues even still. And that's the start of it. To me.
That's good. That's good. That's good.
And that's deep stuff. So we would need a trained, we need a psych ward that, I guess me and Tyrone, we going together and we're going to be there together on the ward. We're going to share a room. We're going to get through this. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's what we need when we get ready to really have that discussion, because that's what it is. There is a horrible wound there, and it needs to get cleaned up. And the only way that we can do it is by having conversations like this. And it hurts, it's uncomfortable, but we got to do it.
Well, and what I'll say, even from observation, okay, so I saw, and I'm just going to kind of dissect, if I might, my observation of what's happened here. So we started off, statement was made, I started shifting back. folk got quiet. Then there was a little bit of excited utterances, and then I saw emotions kind of start to elevate. Then I saw all of this going on, and conversation still going on though, as uncomfortable as it may have been. So now when I'm looking at both of us, now two women, Jonna, with my black brother over here, Tyrone, and now I'm looking at us now, and I'm seeing affirmations, I'm seeing agreements, I'm seeing less tension, I'm seeing a different flow and some start and beginning of conversation that's covering the silence. And I'm saying all this to say, I think this type of podcast is the exact example of how we can work through the dynamics, and it can be done, but we have to have the conversation.
Correct.
We have to have the conversation.
Oh, totally agree with that.
So how can go ahead? Yes.
Just to speak on behalf of the black women to the brothers, it's like, I'm hurt and I feel a lump in my throat, but I will not start crying.
You can cry.
I'm hurt and you're hurt. We're both hurt. And we need to heal each other. Where do we start? Where do we start to get this wound cleaned out? If you leave a wound with stuff in it, it gets infected. It can scab over, but it still hurts. You got to pull the scab, clean it out, expose it to some air, and only then can it really heal. And that's what we're going to have to do here. And it's tough. Even these conversations, I don't feel like this is necessarily deep or heavy.
Right.
This is just a surface.
Right.
We just acknowledging the fact that there's an issue. We haven't even began to unpack it. So it's a difficult discussion, but it has to be done. We got to do it because it's having an impact, and it's steady going generation to generation, and it's getting worse, if you will. It's steady going.
So if we take this to next steps, what would you all suggest? Because we're talking about this is what we want to advocate for as we come and turn. The earth is correcting itself. These are the areas that we've got to address. These are the areas that must be continued in the transformation and change. What are next steps here? How can we get to the next level?
I would honestly say, like, continue to have these conversations. Because like Jonna said, we talked surface today. Mm-hmm. But there's clearly more to it. And just amongst us here, there's a dynamic that needs to be talked about. So, the best thing is to continue to have these. They're uncomfortable, and we have to get to a point where not just us, but people in general, we have to be able to admit our faults on both sides, where we as a people have divided ourselves. Mm-hmm. Yes, the woman has struggled. The man has struggled too. Yes, the woman is the bottom of the totem pole. The black man is too. We have to be able to have those tough conversations where we can, dissect that thing and be open to what that outcome may be.
Very good. Very good. Jonna, next steps.
We have to have the conversation. We need to work on listening to each other. We have got to work on listening, not just to respond, but to actually hear what the other person or the party is saying from the heart. That's huge. Mm-hmm. Because, communication skills are very, the whole earth, we need to go to class on that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, but for this particular conversation, listening is going to be, and we have got to listen and be open. And I will say, on this particular subject, I can take a step back and be transparent and say, it's going to take a minute or take a few seconds. I'm going to have to actively tell myself, shh, listen
Mm-hmm.
because of I'm 44 years old. I've had 44 years of not being listened to. So we have to consider those type of things when we have these conversations. As a Black woman, I've had, you're always in a place where you don't have a voice. And if you do, there's a whole bunch of drama and trauma about it. So that, things like that causes mistrust, and you're already defensive. So when we get into these kind of conversations, we have to be able to lay some of that down and hear the other person.
That's good.
Yeah.
And it's way easier said than done.
That's good.
Very much.
Because I think both sides are ready to fight.
Right. Because we're coming from different perspectives. Like Jonna just gave her perspective. But being a Black male, myself, and seeing my father and other Black males, we're only looked at as a workhorse. You provide, you take care of your family, you make sure they're good, you this, that, and the other. So when we're hearing all this, but you weren't there to support me, you weren't there to say another. But if these bills weren't paid, you had an issue. If I'm not,
see, my perspective on that is totally different, because I'm like, at this point, if I had an 8-hour day, I would be very happy about that. If I had to clock in and clock out and be done for the day, that would be great. There is no clock in and clock out. You own all day long, 24/7. Somebody gets sick in the middle of the night. Well, daddy got to go to work, so it's on mama. I got to go to work too, but it's still on you. What are we eating for dinner? That's mama. Got to get down to the school. Mama, don't take a job because you got small. That's on mama. I would love to have an 8-hour.
And then we look at the flip side of that. If it was daddy, kids get up and who's gonna take care of it? Daddy. But y'all still expecting daddy to work. Y'all still expect, and not saying people here, but I'm saying from my experience and what I've experienced with my father and men in my life, that was the expectation. You got a good man with the women who raised me. You got a good man who's going to take care of you. So my experience, I'm speaking from my experience, and I'm saying, so if he would have set up and said, oh, I'm going to cook dinner tonight and I'm going to take care of the kids and this, that, and the other, and he wasn't going to work, what pressure was on him? Is he now not a weak man? He can't take care of his kids. He's not taking care of his family, but he at home cooking dinner. How many women in the 80s wanted a man at home cooking dinner? And people not going to be honest about that, but that was the truth. And that's the truth for a whole lot of men and families these days. People are not going to be honest, and I'm not speaking on anybody on this phone.
But the thing about it is being in the home, that's work too.
Not taken away from that. Not taken away from that at all. I know personally, again, from my experience, my mother did not work, was in the home, and I know it was a task. But I also knew, and I also saw the breakdown of my father trying to take care of a family on his own. So when we talk about and we say a man's not doing, and a man's not taking care of the kids, and the man's not waking up at night, there's an expectation from my experience on a man that is, to me, compares to the expectation of a woman, of a mother. So for me, I saw a breakdown of a man who worked hard every day, make sure all his kids had everything he needed. And when he walked away, when he died and walked away from this earth, he had worked his last day, because he held up to an expectation of what was expected of him to take care of a woman and kids. So when we talk about this whole separation and this narrative of the man, I have some issue with that, because I saw a man do that. And I carried that on to say, I'm gonna work hard if I gotta work 2 or 3 jobs to take care of my family. So when those type of conversations come up for me, it makes me feel some kind of way. When women say a man doesn't support me and a man doesn't, and I work and I have to take care of the kids and this, that, and the other, it makes me feel some kind of way. Because I saw a man, and not speaking from anybody's experience, I'm speaking from my own. I saw a man do that and work tooth and nail every day. Is our burden different? Is the connection with the mother and the child different? Yes. But for me, my experience. I'm not going to take away from a man, just like I'm not going to take away from a woman. So that's my experience. Can't speak for nobody else. And that's what's tough with these conversations. When it talks about any conversation, when it comes down to family and experience, you have people who talk about disciplining kids. You have people who talk about so many things when it comes down to the family dynamic. They become very passionate because a person can only speak from their experience. So we can have a conversation and you say, you know, men don't support women, and 20% of men support women and 70% of men don't. And this and all these stats come up. I can only speak for me. And my experience as a man, I know, who supported his woman and his kids and kids that weren't even his. That's my experience. I look at my family now, we're supporting our family. So I can't jump into a conversation where men are just bad and men are doing this, that, and the other. And we're just, it's a different experience for me. If I had their experience, I could speak on it, but I don't.
I never said men were bad. I don't think that at all. But from my experience in the house I grew up in, my dad did his work. And, you know, he supported his family and his house. My mother took care of her kids and their kids. She took care of him and his house and worked as a nurse for 35 years. And she's suffering today because of that workload. So when I see women saying, you know what, I can't do all of that, and I apply that, that's what I'm talking about from my own experience.
But
and again, like I said, we're speaking from experience. Mm-hmm. And I also acknowledge, in your initial point, which I kept trying to refer back to, I commend when women, because and people in general, who can step away and say, what y'all have been putting me through, I need to step away from. So when we see Naomi, when we see Simone, and those people in those high profile positions who are starting to set that trend and say, I don't have to just put up with this. I don't have to go along. Yeah, you've paid me good money and the expectation is this, but I'm going to do my own thing because at the end of the day, I'm going to speak. I can only speak for myself. I commend that. But when we get into the support of men and women and the balance and this, that, and the other, I can only speak from my experience. And people probably won't agree with my experience. Maybe I had a father who, because when people ask me, who did you learn how to do this with? And who did you learn how to do that? That was my father. So when people talk to me about men not supporting women, that's not my experience.
Okay, so let me go here. Go ahead.
Well, people can disagree with me. That's fine.
Mm-hmm. And this is where I keep trying to come from on both sides. This is where I keep trying to come from. Okay, so let me clarify. I'm not talking from my experience at all. My father was the epitome of a good man taking care of his home in his generation. My father did. I did not have an absentee father. I did not have a father that was unavailable to me. I did not have a situation. So please don't think that I think that men are bad, because honey, my dad was the best thing since sliced bread and the best trained smoking on this side of heaven. So I'm not talking from that experience at all. So my point here, I listen to people. I listen to statistics. I listen to experiences of others, because my world is not the only world. And this is where I want us to get to a point to understand that we keep having breakdowns, because you're blinded by your experience. If your experience is your whole reality, and this is where, and I'm saying this, not just you, I'm saying both sides. I'm saying both sides of a spectrum, both sides of a coin. I'm talking about people in general. I'm not specifying you particularly. This is why white people don't understand police brutality and racism because it's not their experience. So this is why they can say just comply. I never have that problem with the police. I never experienced that. And they're talking from a blinder of experience, and they're negating statistics and reality out here from other people because they cannot hear and open their minds and their hearts to an existence beyond where they have had experience. Experience is not everything. Experience is not even necessarily a large percentage of reality, because everybody's reality can be different. I don't know nothing about, I ain't never had with my daddy, utilities wasn't cut off. We did not have food. We did not have transportation. I don't know anything about that. He wasn't out running around cheating with women, because everything ain't about materialism. And I brought home, when my father closed his eyes, I didn't have to worry, was I going to have some siblings pop up that I didn't know nothing about? I didn't have to worry, was he out here catting with everybody, every Tom, Dick, and Harry, and Jane, Jill, and because listen, some people, that's their experience, and so they operate in life from the blinders of that experience. But the world is bigger than our personal experience, and once we relegate the whole entire world to our personal experience, we have just done a injustice and a disservice to the world, because the world is more than your experience. There's some statistics out here that show something different. There's some statistics out here that say there are children that don't have enough food to eat. There are children that are being abused by their parents. There are children that have been neglected and left by their moms. There are children that have been neglected and left by their dads. So I need to look at statistics, not just my experience, because my experience is not anything about what we're talking here on this podcast, because that's not my experience with my dad. My dad was a great man. And I'm not just making something up. I'm telling you, I'm proud of him. I'm proud of the legacy that he left. I don't have any kind of negative. If anything, my dad was the one that turned around and said, now, if a man can't treat you like this, my first date, my dad had 3 daughters. You're going to go out with a date on me. We're going to have a real date. We're going to have a real dinner, because I'm going to show you what a real man does when a real man is interested in you, and don't settle for anything less than this. Everything that you can expect a father to do above and beyond, that was my dad. So I don't have an issue with men. I don't have an issue with black men. I don't have an issue with all of the issues that we hear come up in a lot of what I talk about. But I do see statistics. I do listen to friends. I do listen to opportunities where I've gone out in the community and immersed myself in the community, because I understand the world is bigger than the experience I had with my dad. People would have loved to have the experience that I had with my dad. Everybody did not get that. So I'm not warped because I don't know nothing about that, but I listened to my friends who had other experiences. I listened and went to school and got statistics that said, statistically, this is the data and these are the data points, and this data shows me a trend. I looked at the trend, because if I'm not going to look at the trend, then I make myself less than knowledgeable. I want to say ignorant. I don't mean ignorant in a bad way, but it is ignorance. It's the same ignorance that supremacists have when they say that's not my experience. I don't know nothing about that, because your skin is white. You're not going to know anything about it. But don't challenge me and say it doesn't exist at some level, because it's not your experience. The world is more than your experience. Read the newspaper, watch some TV, look at the media, look at the statistics. There's all kind of data out here that shows and proves that there is an issue with the police and the black community. What do you mean it's not your experience? So I have to challenge us on all of these places, on both of these points, because if all we're doing is talking about experience, we've done a whole lot of people a disservice, and we need to investigate above and beyond our personal experience. It just doesn't work like that. The world is bigger than that. The world is so much more. So then do I not pay attention because I had a great dad to all the people that don't have that experience? Absolutely not. I need to immerse myself and share in your experience so I can understand where you're coming from, or else you'll be saying, I can't relate to you. Well, then we do have a problem if nobody can relate to one another because that wasn't my experience. The idea then is I've got to emerge. I've got to baptize myself in some of your experience to help broaden my experience. And I think if we don't do that, we're jacked up and we might as well quit. If everybody is going based on the premise of what my personal experience is and it doesn't go any farther than that, that's a small world. And it's not reality at all to me. And so, and to me, that is the thing that makes me so angry when my human rights issues come up with my white friends and they can't hear anything that I'm saying because they keep touting their experience in front of me. That just pisses me off. And you're not loving me enough to even come outside of your personal experience and shell to experience or hear my experience, to know my experience. You're all wrapped up in what you've experienced. And that says to me, you don't care about me. When you can't stop, even though it's not our personal experience, when you can't stop and feel somebody else's pain, that's the whole idea of empathy, not sympathy, but empathy. I have the ability, even though that's not my experience, I have the ability to hear you share your experience and feel something. And if I don't feel nothing because that's not my experience, that's a cold heart, in my opinion. Empathy. Where's the empathy? Because the world is bigger than my experience. Where are the statistics? If my statistics are telling me 90, and I'm not talking about somebody just talking, I'm talking about real hardcore facts and statistics. Not somebody, I woke up this morning and I had PMS and now I'm talking about statistics. I'm not talking about emotions that are blown up. I'm talking about statistics. And statistics are telling me we've got a problem that's bigger than my experience. And so I don't know. I just have to take issue with the totality of emphasis on our experiences when we're really not addressing facts, statistics, data. And if I say I don't care because that's not my experience, I don't know. I have a problem with that. Now that's where I start saying, whoa, let me back up. Let me back up, Nelly. Let me back up. But just to be clear, just so that nobody listening to this podcast that hears me talk about the perspectives that I talk about. So just to be clear, I had the best dad in the world and he met all the criteria of what it means to be a good man. So that's not my issue. I don't have an experience that speaks anything other than an excellent father. That's all I can say. But I think we got to really get to data and understanding, because otherwise we take on that same level of non-caring nonchalantness that white folks have towards black people in their dilemma of racism and white supremacy. That's not my experience. It doesn't matter if it's your experience or not. It's still really happening. Can you care about me and love me enough to really hear what's really happening in the world? Hey, Royal Confessions in the room. Dr. Dady Priestess. Oh my goodness. Dr. Dady Priestess is in the room. That's my high priestess. I love you. I love you. I love you. Y'all go out there and check out. Come on. SK said, I'm a living witness for John Stillman. That's my sister. If anybody doesn't know, this ain't no made up crap. This, I'm telling you truthfully, I don't know nothing about all of these other existences that I talk about, but I do listen to my friends and I know it's a real world that I'm talking about. These are real life experiences that I'm talking about. Dr. Dady Priestess, I love you. That's my girl. Dr. Dady, we need to have you do some mediation. We need to get Beauty for You. We need to get a panel together. We need to sit down and have a conversation and a panel discussion because we need to talk and we need to talk through some issues. Salute. Tall Pumps is in the room. Oh, she's saying salute to all my melanated beautiful people. I love you, Tall Pumps. That's my girl. All of you guys, I appreciate you. Now, I want to go back and pick up Royal Confession said, we've got to get out of our head and pay more attention to our hearts. Both are important, but the heart needs to be your primary incentive and intention. We got to get to that point where your heart says something to you. We cannot detach. So even in a conversation like this, the brothers can't detach from the sisters and the sisters can't detach from the brothers. Because we're all one blood. We're one family. But as long as we can separate and make it, this is your issue, that ain't my issue. This is your experience, it's not my experience. This is your deal, that's not my deal. Without being able to reach across the aisle and feel for my brother. That's my song. Y'all know, Yes You O Cube, that's my intro song. I feel for my brother. I feel for my sister. If we can't feel for our brother and sister, we have missed the cause. We have missed the boat. And I ain't trying to preach here, but I'm just saying, I got to respond to this whole thing about the experience. Man, that is the same. And I'm not talking to you, Tyrone. I'm just using that terminology. This is the same experience that white folks give us when we start trying to talk about white supremacy. That ain't my experience. Just comply. No. What do you mean? We have complied and we still got shot and killed. So, I'm like, hey, I just want to interject that because experience is not our measuring stick. Yes, it does give us and has a tremendous amount of influence, but that is not our measuring stick. And so at the end of the day, my conversations here are not based from my experience because my experience is all good with my father being a man in the household. So I don't know nothing about nothing else. I don't know anything about anything else when it comes to fathering and parenthood in that regard. I don't have any negative. Listen, he wasn't fingering and fondling. He wasn't doing none of that. And he took care of all the bills. It's all the dynamics, but yet and still it wasn't going to be a scenario. And I saw your face there, but no, I have to say that because there are a lot of children and a lot of people out there that was their experience, Tyrone. They knew daddy as fingering and fondling. We can't just shut stuff off because that's not our experience. Some people, there are some people that on Father's Day, they're traumatized because what they experienced from their fathers was trauma. We can't not acknowledge that and then say, why are we not celebrating our dads? Depending on what level of the experience was for them, I can or I cannot celebrate my dad. I want to, but I can't. And the fact that I can't is that's an additional hurt and pain that's going on inside. We got to deal with those realities. We can't just act like they don't exist. At the same time, I'm not saying that's all fathers because that's not my experience. I didn't have to worry. There was nothing in me. My dad had 3 girls and no boys. I didn't have to worry about nobody getting no sexual abuse from my daddy. I didn't have to think about any kind of inappropriate conversation. I had a father that definitely was like, you can be and you can do. What's his one biggest downfall? The church, because the church said women can only do this and women can only do that. Now you got a great dad on every other level, but then when you get in the religious arena, you still have the patriarchy that still, even with the perfectly good, everything that you could say positive man, got everything going for him, he still couldn't see past the patriarchy of religion. So there's so many different things that we have to address, and this is real stuff. This is real stuff. But I just can't let experience be our measuring stick. So I'm gonna let you all respond to that in whatever way you want to. And again, my apologies. I wasn't trying to be preachy, but I'm just saying that kind of stuff gets me stirred up in my spirit because I'm like, that's on the borderline right along there with hatred, when I can't see beyond my experience to embrace other people's reality and give it validity and come with some facts. When Trump won the election, why are so many people willing to embrace the idea Trump won the election? Because they really want to see white supremacy and racism. They want to see it. They want to see it Trump. And so they'll believe a lie rather than embrace the truth. We got to deal with truth. We got to deal with facts. And I think when we have a conversation, and I do think an idea of having somebody come in and mediate would be wonderful. But I think when we have that conversation, we need facts. I can't go off of y'all's experiences. I need facts. What are the facts? And what is the statistics support? That's what I need to see along with people's experiences. Johnny, go ahead. I got y'all all squirmed up.
Well, I think what you said is correct, and that just emphasizes how much we need to learn how to listen with an open heart.
Thank you for liking the stream, Eloise. That give it that little breakup. Thank you. That's my sis. I love you. Thank you so much for liking the stream. We do, and I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna jump out of your conversation. And I think I may have said it before, but if I didn't, I'm gonna say it again. If I did, we need to learn to listen to hear, not listen to respond.
Absolutely.
Because too many times in the conversation, we're listening to respond, not listening to hear. And that makes a huge difference in whether or not we're listening and communicating. And with that, I'm gonna jump back out. Go ahead.
That's we did mention that earlier, and that comes back to those communication skills that we need to embrace, because this conversation needs to be had, and it's going to be a tough one. It is never going to be an easy conversation, never. So we've got to learn how to listen with a soft and available heart.
Thank you, Tyrone.
I mean, I would honestly agree. It's a tough conversation to be had. I mean, we will agree to disagree. Everyone, let me not say that. We will agree to disagree.
Okay.
And it's a conversation to be had, and we can share thoughts, and we can talk about situations, and I feel, like I said, I stated earlier, these are conversations that I feel people will never really agree on, because everyone, whether we look to those or not, everyone has an experience, and that experience factors in whether we want to be honest or not into some of our decisions that we make. We can look at stats, we can look at whatever we want to look at, but I feel experience plays a factor into our outcome and what our thought process are on things. So I feel these are conversations that are really good to have, because these are conversations that most people don't have, because they're scared of what the outcome may be. They're scared of what someone else's perception may be, what someone else's experience is, but they're really good conversations to have. I feel they're tough conversations to have, because at the end of the day, it's a conversation that most of us probably won't get to a point where we're all on the same page. Hopefully we get to a point where we can understand someone's perspective and possibly give them some, and we can share information into what our perspective is. But they're tough conversations that we probably won't get to. We all won't walk away saying, you're right. But they're conversations that need to be had.
Yes, yes. I see you, Doglets. It's a great conversation for the younger ones coming up if they're willing to listen and hear. I agree with you 100%, Doglets. I agree. If they're willing to listen and hear. And we need to just keep it real. I see you, Mel. Agreement should be based on facts. The research has been done and replicated. Facts are real. And I'm with you on that, SK. And that whole point is what I'm saying, even as far as those that instead of listening to the facts will continue to insist that Trump won the election, or something that the facts do not bear that out, but they're not going to agree otherwise because they have a different experience. So we got to get that point where we can get the facts and get it real, and then see where we can come in our level of agreement. Ultimately, at the end of the day, we can walk hand in hand without seeing eye to eye. That's a statement that I say very commonly and frequently. We can walk hand in hand without seeing eye to eye. I do ask us to do introspection within ourselves, each one of us. And I'm not just throwing this out here to you. I'm saying this to myself. Let's do introspection. If somebody shows me a fact and the truth, why will I not receive it? If somebody and I'm talking about for myself. That's a journey that I'm on, because I have been a person on a journey that has had a lot of information taught to me from my earliest days of youth. But at this phase and stage of life, I'm saying, okay, but what do the facts bear out? And I don't care what I've been taught. If the facts don't bear it out, why is it that I won't listen to the facts instead of the truth? And vice versa. If I've been taught a lie, why will I not release the lie to embrace the truth? And that's only something that can be done when we do introspection. What are we holding on to that will not allow us to change to the facts of the truth and what's really real versus what my particular inside wants to think or feel? And so that's how lions roar. That's how we develop. That's how we grow. This is the lion's den. Y'all know how it is over here. Get your coffee cups out. No cream, no sugar. We take the coffee strong and black because we tell it like it tis. But you will know the truth, and the truth will make you free. Anything less than that becomes bondage. I believe anything less than that becomes bondage. Now, that being said, I appreciate you guys for being so open and honest on tonight and bearing right on through. These are difficult conversations, and we do need to have them. We gotta get to the next level. Everyone thinks they're right. You're right, Mel. The Bible says every man's ways are right in his own eyes, but your own eyes still don't mean nothing if your eyes are wrong. So that just bears out, what the scripture says. So that's the reality of human nature. We started talking about the mental health of Black women and took several turns, but it's been a great conversation. Yes, Rebel. Now, we're going to close out with this. I want to appreciate everybody that's in here, everybody that's talking, everybody that's chatting. Jonna, the flip side of that coin, you've told us what you're an advocate for. And I did see this, Daniel Andre Dean, if you're still in here, you told Black people, you said, listen, connect and love. I heard those 3 words, listen, connect and love. And we got to do that. Now, your pet peeves before we get up out of here, Jonna, give us some of your pet peeves.
The only one I can say, well, I have several pet peeves. Anybody who knows me knows I but one that's really been getting on my nerves. I'm good, Mel. Thank you. It's what I call e-thugging. And that's getting on Facebook or social medias. It's particularly for people in real life that are soft-spoken. But you get on the internet and start carrying on like you some kind of big bad commentator. I call that e-thugging, and it gets on my nerves. You can scroll past stuff you don't agree with. You don't have to comment on everything. You in Facebook jail every 5 seconds. We don't see you for a month, and you come back to month 3 and blah, blah, blah. You don't have to do all that. Just scroll on by.
E-thugging gotta stop.
E-thugging has to stop.
Listen, I have been e-thugged all last week, and it's taken everything in me to hold and bite my tongue.
Yeah, you do get some e-thugging.
I get some e-thugging, and it has taken every ounce of restraint not to thug back.
Go ahead and thug. I got you. One day we just gonna go back. We just gonna go in on everybody.
Thug back.
How do you feel about e-thugging, Tyrone?
I don't get into too many Facebook exchanges, but I'm not a fan of e-thugging. My thing is, say it or it don't matter. Say it to me or it doesn't matter at this point. I could care less.
Yeah. Well, is that your only one, Jonna?
That's all I'm going to share tonight. I think we've had enough.
Have you had a recent e-thugging experience?
Oh, I don't e-thug and I don't tolerate e-thugging, but I'm saying for other people, Well, I don't, child, please. I would be they would dismiss my whole profile if I ever started on Facebook. So I just scroll on past, and it keeps everything good.
Well, let me tell you about my e-thugging experience last week, Tyrone. So this person wants to keep on getting on, and she just won't quit. She just keeps on. And I tried to end it nicely and peacefully. She just kept going. So finally, I responded back to her. I won't say it was e-thugging, but I made my position very clear and went and left it out there, because before that I had been like deleting so that it wouldn't be like embarrassing for her. It wasn't gonna bother me because what I said was right, as far as the topic, and trying to be really, really peaceful with her. That's what I mean when I say right. So she just kept on. So I'm like, I responded, and I didn't delete her comment so the whole world could see her ignorance. Then I got a text that said, "Would you please call me? We need to talk." I just don't know what I've
No, ma'am.
Nothing to talk about at this point.
Stop that e-thugging.
You address me online, I'm gonna address you online.
I addressed it online, and I left it right there for everybody to see. And then I got a text. I got a private message. "Would you please call me? We need to talk." Yeah, because you know your whole fanny is sitting out there for the world to see. And now that I didn't erase your mess, you want to talk in private.
Right.
Nothing to talk about.
Nothing to talk about. I left it out there, and there you have it. So y'all can say, spiritual thought leader, you ain't right. But listen, after a while, after that fourth or fifth delete of that stupid comment, I said, I'm gonna just leave it out here, broaden in living color. So there you have it. E-thugging, Royal Confessions. E-thugging. It's Diablo. It's Diablo juice and sheep. Yes. Oh, shoot. E-thugging. Well, with that, I'm going to let you all say your closing comments, and we're going to get out of here. I want to say one more time, thank you to everybody. One Reason is a streamer. Please follow my brother for the gospel takeover. It happens every morning, Monday through Friday, and other times when he does a pop-up. Please follow my brother. Dr. Dady Priest, I call her the high priestess. This educator is out here, and she's giving us knowledge. She's giving us information. Sister Dady, I want to prophesy over your life right now. This is the season of the black woman and the brown woman coming forth, and this is your time. Do your thing, Dr. Dady. Do your thing, because God's hand is all over it, and he's going to bless you in a mighty way. Y'all follow Dr. Dady Priest out here on Engagement Matters. She's got a powerful podcast. It will bless your whole life. She is an educator. It's not something that she's doing as a fly by night. She knows what she's talking about. She has a background. She has the paper. It's all legit. She can bless your whole life. Beauty for You. She may not be on here, but I shout her out every time, because Beauty for You is online therapy. That's what I'm going to call it. Online therapy. You got a mental health issue and you're trying to get your life together. She is licensed and credentialed. She has everything that you need in the way of conversation. And she deals with she gets down to the nitty gritty. That podcast and that stream is not for the faint of heart. Sister doesn't play. She lays it out there and she lays it bare. So if you're ready to jump in and you want to get some opportunities to deal with some of your mental health issues, Beauty for You. Y'all go out there and follow her. Real Tax Talk is on here for all of your tax needs and tax issue. Real Tax Talk is out there and he's having conversation. Y'all support this streamer. Now, this is what I love about it. I love diversity. He doesn't have a problem that I'm black and he's white. Same with Aurora's Eatery. Listen, diversity up in the house. That's what it's about. And we support one another because we're all lions and the villages together. It's not separated by color. It's not separated by gender. It's not separated by nationality. We are one lion. This pride, Pride of lions, is relentless. You're going to hear us roar. So please follow Real Tax Talk and Aurora's Eatery. That's my brother and that's my sister. Even though their melanin might be different from mine, we are family. And there you have it. I hope I got everybody that's in here. I got some moderators extraordinaire. LaWanda Baskerville is in the room. I love you, sis. Thank you so much for coming in here. And of course, I always want to appreciate my moderator, none other than the Rebel Inc. She will be having Real Tax Talk. He's raiding with the party family of 5. Thank you, Real Tax Talk. And listen, that's my brother. He's bringing them in. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. And Cooking Mama, otherwise known as Aurora's Eatery. I appreciate all of you guys. I just want to give the appreciation because you didn't have to come in, but you did. Shelly Thunder. Yes. Where's it at? Let me find my thunder, y'all. Yes, Shelly, up above my head. I hear thunder. Shelly Thunder. There must be a Shelly somewhere. I love you, sis. Moderators extraordinaire. Thank you. Now we're gonna wrap this up. I'm gonna ask those of my 2 friends, Royal Confessions. We miss you, sis. We miss you on the podcast. We're still sending you all kinds of mad love and condolences. But we know your confession is always royal. Your confession is always royal. You always have a royal confession to make. We're winners. And I got a feeling everything's going to be all right. I love you, sis. And we miss you on this podcast. God's blessings and love be yours. With that being said, we're going to let both Jonna and Tyrone give us your closing comments and we're out of here.
Go ahead, Tyrone.
Well, I will say, this is the season of the woman. We're seeing so many women really step up and, start change, which is needed. Women have been, making change, especially our Black women, for years now, but we're starting to see that true change where women are saying, I'm no longer going to take this. I'm human. I have rights. I have needs. I have wants, and I'm not a robot. And we see it with our professionals, our athletes. And even before them, I'm sure there are tons of mothers and wives and teachers and everyone who stepped up and said, I can't keep going this way. So my thing is continue support our women, all women, especially our Black sisters, because again, they get hit with the brunt of it. But support our women, love our women. Make sure that they have a voice to speak for who they are. Make sure they have a voice to speak for what they want. And all we want is just the best for them. Because at the end of the day, they are who we are. They are who put us here. So, yeah, we love our women.
Thank you, Tyrone. Jonna.
My closing remarks would be to my sisters. There's a rise, and I see you out there, and I'm glad that we are taking the time to say, you know what, I'm here, and I deserve a voice. I deserve to be heard. I deserve to be cared for, even if it starts with me, and that's pretty much where it should start. Even if it starts with me, I will care for myself when it's not popular and when people don't like it. And I do want to say to my brothers, particularly the Black ones, I see you. And when Black women rise, because you are connected to my being, you come with me. And I would not want to live or exist in a world without my other part, which would be the Black man. There has always been mad love for you. There still is. I'm coming up. I know you got issues and things that need to be addressed. Come with me and we can be all right together. That's how we came here. Let's go together. We got it. It's going to be all right. It's tough today, but it's going to be all right because we're not going to leave each other. Now, it may feel and sound like it, but at the end of the day, we are not going to leave each other. We can get through this. We can get this wound addressed and healed. We can do it.
Powerful. Powerful, powerful. Touchdown. I see you out there. And I see walk beside me, talk sis, because at the end of the day, we're going to do this together. We are going to do this together and we're going to get it done. Closing out once more again this week, the words of Daniel Dean, whatever the situation, listen, connect, and love. Thank you for the raid from Real Tax Talk. Thank you for the raid, Aurora's Eatery. Listen, connect, love, and we'll see you next time. This has been this edition of Yes You with Friends. We love y'all. For those that are here, ride the raid train. Rebel is going to take us somewhere, but ride the raid train. For those that are in Twitch, I love every last one of you. Jonna, I love you. Man, Tyrone, I love you. Y'all are just the best.
I love you, Tyrone.
Oh, I just feel the love. Do y'all feel the love? This is real. I feel the love, y'all. I feel the love. Oh my goodness. Oh, I feel a breakthrough. I love y'all. And
we gonna make it.
We gonna make it. We're gonna make it. We're gonna make it. Oh my goodness, we gonna make it. All right. And as I always say before I leave, this is what we want you to have. Peace for your journey.